The latest on the war in Ukraine, President Zelenskyy issuing an urgent new warning now. A major dam and hydroelectric plant could be in jeopardy, threatening rapid flooding, which would put hundreds of thousands of people in danger. Joining us now, ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Steve Ganyard. Steve, it just seems like one threat after the next. What do you make of this latest concern on behalf of Ukrainian President Zelenskyy and what the Russians may be doing next?
Yeah, Carrie, it is quite disturbing because it is quite plausible. We have seen the Russians indiscriminately shell villages for months now. So this is to do something that would affect literally hundreds of thousands of people and particularly have, tens of thousands of casualties. It's not something that's unimaginable. It's completely imaginable given the Russian performance up to now. The interesting thing here is that this bridge is just upstream from Kherson, where the bulk of the fighting is going on. And so if they blew this dam, which is really a hydroelectric dam and also used for irrigation, it would send a 15-foot wall of water down towards Kherson, where the Russians are now pulling back and retreating to the eastern side of the river because of the Ukrainian advances. So, Carrie, in the past, you and I have talked about this idea of how it's sometimes helpful to think about geography in strategic terms. So the Dnieper River, which is where this dam dams, is a strategic piece of geography in that it sort of bisects the eastern part of Ukraine. That's where all the agriculture is. That's where much of the mining and manufacturing is. So it is a lifeline. It is the lifeblood of the Ukrainian economy that goes down to the Black Sea. Why is Kherson important? Because it's the last port city there going into the Black Sea. You control that and you control access to the Black Sea. So critical for Ukraine to take that back for its own economic security. So that's why this is such a contentious point. And as Putin is getting pushed back at Kherson, he is now threatening to blow this dam that would cover his tracks and cover that retreat. But it would result in a humanitarian disaster and a crisis for the people that live south of that dam.
Steve, do you think he's getting more and more aggressive and more arrogant here because he's got the backing of Iran?
I think he's getting more desperate. If you'd asked any of us a year ago, would Russia need to turn to a third-rate military like Iran for its supplies, or North Korea, nobody would have believed it. But now we're seeing that they're turning towards Iran to provide these drones. And the drones are important. If you think back to World War II, you think about the Blitz in London, and you think about how the Germans sent V-1s and V-2s, these were essentially early cruise missiles, early ballistic missiles into London to terrify the population, other parts of England. So the idea here is just what Putin is doing now. It is to terrorize the population. There is no military advantage to the kinds of attacks that he's conducting, other than he wants to inflict pain on the Ukrainian people. So very concerning that we're seeing these reports that up to 30% of the electrical generation capability of Ukraine has been taken out. Winter is coming. He wants to make the Ukrainian people desperate, make them cold, and starve them to death.
And earlier on, we were reporting that we had evidence, but now apparently we have confirmed that Iranian troops are directly engaged on the ground in Crimea. This is according to the Pentagon now that has come forward. They were holding a briefing there. What do you make of that? What does this mean? How does this change the dynamic?
Yeah, these are not frontline troops. So these aren't Iranian regulars who are holding weapons. They are training the Russians on how to use these drones that they have been selling to the Russians. So again, when we think of the drones that the U.S. has used over the years, they're very precise. These kinds of drones are sort of point targets. You can put in a coordinate, a latitude, a longitude, and they will go to an area. It's not like they're very sophisticated, but they have been effective. They've taken out quite a bit of the electrical generating capacity within Ukraine, and so they are having an effect, just not a military effect. But that's what those Iranian advisors are doing. They're teaching the Russians how to use these weapons that are terrorizing the Ukrainian population.
And one more question, Steve, if you don't mind. The EU leaders today giving the green light to this plan to provide Ukraine with financial support over the next year. That's after Zelenskyy warned that Russia is just trying to spark this refugee exodus, by destroying energy infrastructure and all these other points to keep the economy going. Are Ukrainian refugees, do you think, getting the support that they need right now?
I think they are. Many of those refugees, just by the definition, have moved out of their homes and have moved to areas where they can be taken care of by NGOs and by international relief organizations. The people I'm more concerned about are the people that are still left in their homes or in the Russian-occupied areas that are going to lose their electricity with a harsh winter coming on. So it's the people under the Russian occupation, I think, that are more in danger and the people that I worry about the most.
Steve Ganyard, always great to have your perspective. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Kira.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.